Good afternoon, I'm Andy Hooser. Well, authorities were at the Sedgwick County Courthouse yesterday after an envelope with a powdery substance was opened. And after the employee experienced respiratory issues and was sent to the hospital, the Wichita Fire Department was called and they shut down ventilation on the 8th floor of the courthouse and briefly evacuated the courthouse. And law enforcement says that it's been an ongoing issue.
For whatever reason, they have really become very active in about the last 4 to 5 months. Half the time we don't even know who it is. But the letters have gotten more threatening.
That was Sedgwick County Sheriff Jeff Easter on Cake News. He says the envelope came from a group called the Moorish National Republic, where they claim sovereignty over the United States and believe the Constitution does not apply to them.
They issue out sometimes identity cards and passports. These groups are persistent, but they're small. Usually they're in groups of 20s, 30s, scattered all over the country.
That was Dr. Greg Etter, a former employee at the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office and criminal justice teacher at the University of Central Missouri on Cake News. That's the latest news. Now let's go to sports.
KU's 34-point loss last night was not just a historic school loss, but it also tied the NCAA tournament record for the third worst loss by a seeded team at 3 or better, as they tie now Michigan's loss to Loyola Marymount back in 1990. After 3 great days of NCAA tournament basketball with close ones, yesterday was full of blowouts. The average margin of victory was 18 points in the 8 games that were played. From the KGSO Sports Desk, I'm Mason Voth.
It's tax season, and if you're getting a return, Yoder Meats can help you put that extra money to good use feeding your family. Invest in a side of beef or half hog and fill your freezer at the best cost per pound. Yoder Meats all-inclusive pricing lets you know what to expect right up front, and our locally raised all-natural butcher beef and pork will be a family favorite. We custom cut to your specifications, and you can pick up at any Yoder Meats location. Follow us on Facebook for the latest information and specials. Taste the old-fashioned flavor at Yoder Meats in Yoder and 3 locations in Wichita.
CBS News Special Report. A supermarket worker of 30 years, a police officer who was the father of 7 kids. Those just 2 of the 10 victims of yesterday's mass shooting in Boulder, Colorado. Our Oma Villafranca is there.
The suspect has been identified as Ahmad Alyssa, 21 of Arvada. He has been charged with 10 counts of murder in the first degree.
Police have identified all 10 victims. They range in age from 20 to 65.
But father of 7, Officer Eric Talley, who had been with the Boulder PD force since 2010, was the first to arrive on the scene. Mayor Sam Weaver.
I can never thank Officer Talley or his family enough for their sacrifice, but we will not forget it.
Colorado Democrat Congressman Joe Neguse.
We should be able to feel safe in our schools, in our movie theaters, and in our communities.
President Biden made a push for gun control legislation today, including an assault weapons ban. CBS News Special Report. I'm Mike Piper.
Market information from Mid-America Ag Network, taking a look at Kansas and Oklahoma's closing cash grain bids. It is Tuesday, March 23rd. It's Ag Day, and correspondingly, all the cash grains were up a bit on the day. Let's take a look at the numbers. We'll start in Oklahoma today. We'll start at Panhandle Hooker, where the wheat finished at $5.57, the corn $5.99, Milo $6.76, soybeans $13.48. Ponca City, the wheat $5.49, corn $5.42, Milo $6.91, beans $13.78. At Enid, wheat finished today at $5.67, corn $5.46, Milo $7.16, and soybeans $13.88. Let's get to Kansas. We'll start at Belleville. Wheat finished at $5.52, corn $5.16, Milo $6.46, soybeans $13.63. At Fredonia, wheat was at $5.42, corn finished at $5.69, Milo $6.36, beans $13.78. Out west, Garden City, the wheat $5.59, corn $5.86, Milo $6.66, and the soybeans $13.48. Sumner County, wheat $5.57, corn $5.51, Milo $6.96, beans $13.88. At Concordia, north central part of the state, the wheat $5.62, the corn $5.26, Milo $6.56, and the soybeans $13.73. And at Goodland, our last stop today, the wheat finished today at $5.49, the corn $5.63, Milo $6.77, soybeans $13.62. Looking at averages, everything is up. Wheat was at $5.54 across Kansas and Oklahoma. That's up 4. Corn finished at $5.55 on the average across the 2 states. That's up 2. Milo also up 2, $6.73, and soybeans finished with an average of $13.69 across Oklahoma and Kansas. That's up 5. So wheat was up 4, corn and Milo both up 2. Soybeans finished the day up 5 cents. Kansas and Oklahoma closing cash grain bids. Mid-America Ag Network.
Your local weather on KQAM, brought to you by Jewelry Savers. Conveniently located off K96 on Greenwich Road. The Kansas trusted jewelry source since 1971. Jewelry Savers.
Mostly cloudy this afternoon in Wichita with rain showers coming to an end. We'll see a daytime high near 54. Wind turning to the west, 10 to 20, gusts to 25. Still breezy overnight tonight with a mostly cloudy sky. Lows drop to 36. For your day on Wednesday, a mix of sun and clouds with another chance of rain late. A daytime high near 56. With your forecast, I'm Cake meteorologist Frank Waugh.
That's your latest Cake First Alert weather update on the Big Talker, KQAM.
At 4:06, it's currently 53 degrees.
Fighting for freedom every day.
They are absolutely desperate to pretend the last 4 years never happened and for them to go back to what they liked to do before, which is create these massive spending bills to pretend that it's really, really important to you when you only get about 5% of what's in the bill, and they can't do it because we're aware of it. We're paying attention to it, and they don't like that.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy
We
Hooser.
definitely need to pay attention in today's times. It's a crazy world out there. Welcome into the broadcast. It is the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting there as well. Great to have you along today, making it happen. Your Millennial General reporting for duty the way we do each and every day here on the program. I am going to try and touch on so much garbage today, it's not even funny. We are going to clean up so much garbage, doing the spring cleaning, tossing it out. It's not even funny. Joe Biden has lost his mind. Now, the big question is, did he ever have it? And the over-under on when he actually lost that as of like 20 years ago. See what we did there? That's what we call a joke. Now, we have a spending package that's being proposed by Joe Biden right now, the infrastructure bill, that I want to get to and spend some time on today. I also have some of the details, and I know you've been hearing it if you listen to other shows throughout the day on this shooting out of Colorado, some of the details there. We will touch on that here in just a minute. We have Adam Wise. He's a political consultant. He'll be joining us at the bottom of the hour. We've had him on the show a few times before as well, talking about Donald Trump starting his own social media network. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that news, and we'll get his take on that here in just a few minutes as well. Plus, we have illegal alien crossings at the southern border. It's just a hot mess. What happened to these kids? What happened to us country? What happened here? We used to have such positive news. That's another joke. See, we're just on a roll today. Let's start off. By the way, you can find us all over the streaming on Hooser Reason is the hashtag on all the social media sites, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn. Also on the website at HooserReason.com. You can find us on there. You can subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and listen to us, of course, here on the radio and TV, wherever you may be. Let's get into, first off, the big hits with the shooting out of Colorado.
What's trending today?
What's trending today? So, some details, and surprisingly, a decent amount of information is coming out with this shooting from Colorado right off the bat. Usually, we don't get a lot of information. The investigation's still pending. We're not sure the motive. We're not sure what's going on. Here, we're really not sure what really happened. We're still waiting on the details from the shooting out of Las Vegas. From, 2 years ago? Still waiting on that one. Haven't gotten any information, but this one came out relatively quick, and I'm quite surprised. Now, if you remember yesterday when it was happening, it broke during this show. As we went on the air, and about 10 minutes, 15 minutes into this program, we saw the breaking news that it was the active shooter that was actually happening at that time. So we didn't have a whole lot of information. Now we see kind of what's going on. But if you remember, the progressives right away went to, an angry, perturbed white supremacist who's angry about the election, angry about Donald Trump losing, angry with, QAnon, whatever. White supremacist, evil jerk with gun-toting and clinging to the guns and Bibles. That's the narrative they always like to pitch. Now it's kind of a little bit different story, and they're trying to backtrack a little bit. The shooter, the perpetrator, is Ahmed Alissa, 21 years old, a Syrian-born gunman, was known to the FBI and ranted about Islamophobes hacking his phone before killing 10 Boulder grocery store individuals with an assault rifle he bought just 1 week ago, according to the Daily Mail. Now, Ahmed Alissa of Arvada, Colorado, just a suburb of Denver, essentially, opened fire at the King Soopers at the grocery store at 2:40 in the afternoon Mountain Time. He killed 2 people in the parking lot before entering the store when he killed another 8 individuals. His motive is not yet known. However, when he surrendered to police, he asked to speak with his mother. And looking at a little bit further investigation, according to the Daily Mail, the Facebook post lasted over 18 months, complained that he did not have a girlfriend and that he hated Donald Trump. I can see why the agitation with not having a girlfriend for 18 months. He described him as mentally ill. He had been bullied in school, was not politically motivated, was very antisocial, and had been paranoid, quote unquote, since high school, according to his brother. Adding this all up, now, first off, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families, first and foremost. The second question is, what can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again? Now, from the left side of the aisle, their question is always, we need to do something. That's always the question. We need to do something, and that something is to ban firearms, essentially. And that's what Joe Biden did come out, our fearless leader in Washington, D.C., his response earlier today from CNBC News.
While we're still waiting for more information regarding the shooter, his motive, the weapons he used, the guns, the magazines, the weapons, the modifications that apparently have taken place to those weapons that are involved here, I don't need to wait another minute, let alone an hour, to take common sense steps that will save the lives in the future and to urge my colleagues in the House and Senate to act. We can ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in this country once again. I got that done when I was a senator. It passed. It was law for the longest time. And it brought down these mass killings. We should do it again. We can close the loopholes in our background check system, including the Charleston loophole. That's one of the best tools we have right now to prevent gun violence. The Senate should immediately pass, let me say it again, the United States Senate, I hope some are listening, should immediately pass the 2 House-passed bills that close loopholes in the background check system.
Yeah.
These are bills that receive votes of both Republicans and Democrats in the House.
Mm-hmm.
This is not and should not be a partisan issue. This is an American issue. It will save lives, American lives, and we have to act. We should also ban assault weapons in the process.
Oh, yeah, by the way, we should also ban assault weapons in the process as well. We should do all this stuff. We're already debating expanding the background checks. We're already expanding the, delay before you can actually purchase a firearm. We're already talking about those. We just need to ban the firearms as well, the assault weapons. I mean, that way these things don't happen. Now, he obviously could have gotten the firearm elsewhere as well. From what it sounds like, as the investigation is still ongoing, this is his first firearm. He purchased the assault rifle, the evil thing that assaults you, just 1 week ago, and he had that to take in along with a handgun as well. If he didn't have the assault rifle, do you think he still would have done something with the assault or with the handgun? If he didn't have the assault rifle at all, could he have shot with a handgun? If he had to wait an extra 10 days, do you think he would have just waited another 10 days and then gone and done it? But by golly, that is going to save lives because he's been pent up. He's been bullied for years. He had mental illnesses. He was very isolated. He had mental illness. I mean, it sounds just really the laundry list of what the progressives embrace. They love the isolation. You don't need to go out and actually go to the store. You don't need to go out and do things. You need to be isolated in your little building and in your little home because you're very terrified of a virus and it's going to kill you. So therefore, just wear your mask and isolate and never see anybody ever again. Just do it virtually. But we need human connection. No, you don't. Mental illness. Feeding the fear. Hey, you're a victim. Hey, you're a minority. Hey, Trump hates you. Hey, Republicans hate you. Hey, Christians hate you. Hey, gun owners hate you. What did he do? He took a firearm and went into a gun-free zone in Boulder, Colorado, the most progressive place, really one of them in the nation, and did a shooting spree where it was a gun-free zone in a grocery store where you're not even really supposed to have ARs. And Colorado has some really weird, wonky laws. I know because I lived there for a long time. They have some interesting laws when it comes to firearms. But he got a firearm. He did buy it legally. What could have been done? What background check could have been changed to say, no, you're going to be denied. We're not going to get you a firearm. What background check could have been changed? He didn't have a criminal record. Apparently, the FBI knew about him, which means if they did know about him and they were watching him, he was already in the system. He was already on the list, and therefore he shouldn't have got it in the first place, which means it's a failure, like usual, in the government bureaucratic system, not in the lack of laws that we actually have on the books. It's a feel-good BS crap thing to say, you know what, let's do the theater again, like Ted Cruz mentioned, the theatrics after a shooting like we always go to and say we need to do something. Either he didn't have any priors, which means he would have passed a background check regardless, or you want to racially profile because his name is Ahmed Alisa. And if that's the case, then you're the racist on the left side of the aisle wanting to racially profile him. But of course, he would have gotten through because he didn't have the name John Smith that was a gun-toting white supremacist Bible thumper, because that probably would have been banned already. But he was a minority. He passed the background check because he had no priors. And if the FBI was watching him, why was he not already on the banned list? So when he did the background check, it would have already come back negative. This makes no sense to me. And for the Democrats to be like, wow, the FBI knew about him, we need to expand background checks. How in the world is that supposed to solve anything? It's a stupid conversation. It really is a stupid conversation. But, by golly, the response that everybody needs to have is we need to go and ban firearms. Joe Biden continued. Oh, yes.
Our hearts go out for the survivors, who had to flee for their lives and who hid, terrified, unsure if they would ever see their families again, their friends again. The consequences of all this are deeper than I suspect we know. By that I mean the mental consequences, the feeling of, anyway, it just been through too many of these.
You notice that right there, he again just lost his train of thought. He's talking about the mental illness and the travesty and the disaster that some people had to go through as a victim in the store, and he loses his train of thought. Let me help you out, Joe Biden. You feel helpless in a situation like that. I know. I've been through a high school shooting my senior year of high school, and I've talked about it many times on the show. Oh, yeah, you feel helpless, and guess what? Since that point in my life, I've never wanted to be a victim. I've never wanted to be in a helpless situation again. What do you do in that situation, Joe Biden? Do you take more firearms away and pass more regulation to feel more helpless because, by golly, the cops will be there to round up your body when it's all said and done? Or do you say, wait a second, I'm going to take my defense into my own hands? The Asian shooting that happened down in Georgia just a few days ago with the Asian massage parlors, we read the story. Guess what? Asian Americans now see an increase in gun sales across the nation because they're concerned about hate crimes against them. The LGBTQ community just a few years ago after the shooting down in Florida at the club, when it was a Muslim who hated gays that went into the club and shot them up after the media tried to say that it was a white supremacist group that tried to shoot him up. Guess what? It was a Muslim individual shot him up. Guess what? LGBTQ community increasing gun sales because we realize we're never going to be put in that position again. It goes along with the conversation that we had yesterday regarding your health. And do you just wait around and live helplessly until the CDC tells you when you're allowed to go shopping, how you're allowed to go shopping, who you're allowed to see, what family members you're allowed to hug, when you're allowed to have a barbecue in your backyard with your family? Do you wait helplessly for the CDC, or do you say, you know what, maybe I can take my own health into my own hands and do something naturally, take some vitamins, get back in shape, go out and get some vitamin D from the sun, go out and actually get myself to boost my own immune system so that way I'm healthy? Because I realized at that point in my life, after that shooting in high school, that I never want to feel helpless again. Ever. I want to have control of my life. I want to have control of my freedom. I want to have control of what I can do. I want to have control of how I can manage my body so that way I'm not in that position and I'm not helpless for the government to take care of me. And that's what they like to do. They love to be helpless. They love to play the victim. And they love to say, government, please do something. Do something. Do something. At the same time, we have the helpless people that were at the store, and imagine how they would feel differently if all of them were carrying concealed carry firearms, or many of them were carrying concealed carry firearms, and you no longer felt helpless, but you turned around and shot the guy as he was going on the shooting rampage because you wanted to stop the insanity. Imagine that for just a second. Andy, more guns don't create a better issue. They do when the good guys had the guns and there were more of them, and there would have been 10 guys to turn around and fire on the shooter and stopped him dead in his tracks. And the one death would have been the bad guy wanting to do something stupid. But instead, we didn't have people with firearms. We had people live streams on their phones, because when there's something bad happen, let's not stop the bad thing from happening. Let's just live stream it, which we'll talk about when we get back here right after the break. It's the Voice of Reason. It's a post-Monday celebration. Stay here.
the voice of reason, with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, you are. Welcome back into the program. Thanks for hanging out with us today. A post-Monday celebration, the greatest day of the entire week. Thanks for joining us, radio and TV. Plus, we have the live streaming and podcasting as well. Make sure to check out the website at HooserReason.com. We are a week away to the end of March, which is crazy, so make sure to sign up for the newsletter. Totally free. Just go to HooserReason.com. No I in Hooser, by the way, HOOSER reason.com. It'll pop up, say, do you want to become a Hoosier-holic? You say, yeah, baby. You sign up, type in your email address, totally free. We're not going to spam you. We'll just send you a once-a-month newsletter talking about our blog for the month, our hot topics. We'll have guests. We'll have information on the show, information on the Hooser Media Network. Totally cool. Make sure to check it all out at HooserReason.com. I don't want to spend a whole lot more time on this discussion with the shooting because everybody's been talking about it. Obviously, everybody has their opinion. Our thoughts and prayers. It's a devastating thing, but it just sickens me. It absolutely sickens me when the first thing the Democrats do is run to gun control, gun control, gun control. And I find it relatively convenient, not saying that there's a conspiracy here, but I just find it semi-convenient that as they're talking about expanding background checks and trying to put in regulation, and the focus right now from the Democrats is environmental, taxes, and gun control, is when we have two massive shootings in a week. I just find that ironic. And from a guy who's isolated, who has had mental illness, who's been paranoid, who feels like he's a victim, who hated Trump. I mean, if you didn't like Trump, then why didn't that happen when Trump was in office? Because all the media ran with it yesterday saying that it was going to be a Trump supporter upset because of the QAnon, the domestic terrorism, evil white people, and then they completely backed off on that. So, like I said, I'm relatively surprised that we got as much detailed information on this shooting as what we did. But there's a greater issue at risk here as well. And it's my generation, and I feel terrible, and I apologize for my generation all the time as a millennial. I feel bad because I'm not with my time. I get it. I know I should have been born at an older time and actually have, been at a different time era because I do not belong in this generation because they drive me nuts. Here's the headline for the HeraldMailMedia.com. Now, the video's been taken down off of social media and other places, but one individual was live streaming from the grocery store, live streaming the whole shooting. Now, again, if you would take the phone away and train on a firearm and you had had a firearm in your hand, you would have been able to stop the bad guy. You could do something. You want to do something as you try and tell the government to do? You could have done something about it. I know. But you didn't do something. You live streamed it because that's the way it always goes. Nowadays, our reaction goes, there's something crazy going on. Let me pull out my phone and do a live stream because I'm going to get some killer hits on that. Unfortunately, pun intended. You ever see those videos on social media where there's like two people just like brawling in the middle of the street, probably on drugs, some kind of issue going on, and they're just brawling, just beating the living daylights out of each other in the middle of the street? Does anybody go and stop them? Does anybody try to pull them apart? No! You got three people sitting there streaming it on their phones, recording it. That's the type of society that we're in today, and it drives me nuts. You could have done something. Put the damn phone down and maybe get a firearm and train with it, and then you could have done something to prevent said 8 other people from dying. That's just my thoughts. The Boulder, Colorado man who live streamed the shooting scene in King Soopers grocery store on Monday afternoon drew sharp criticism from some and praise from others. I don't know why you want to praise these things. It's not something that you need. Obviously, law enforcement's aware of the situation. Obviously, people are aware of what's going on. They've locked the store down. The police are on the way. One officer died trying to stop them, unfortunately, the very first officer that went in there. But they knew a situation was happening. You don't need to tell the world. You don't need to do it. I know some disagree with me. It's just not my natural instinct to say, oh my gosh, there's something terrible going. There's a train crash about to happen, a train collision. Let me pull out my phone so I can record. That's just not a natural thing for me. And I know I'm out of date. I know I'm out of my league here. I know I'm out of my time because that's just the natural response of my generation, unfortunately. I just don't get it. And if we would spend a little more time training on the appropriate things to actually handle this, then we wouldn't have the mental illness and the PTSD that Joe Biden talked about for many individuals that were in there trying to run and hide for their lives. We would have a totally different situation of, oh, wow, another jerk tried to do something stupid and he didn't get away with it.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
That you are. Welcome back into the program, the fastest hour of radio on radio. We are on radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting all over the place. We are growing by leaps and bounds. I would say the fastest growing talk show in America, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We will be there very soon. We're killing it on the podcast downloads. Thank you for that. You can always find us, The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser, on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Plus, we have the radio stations and TV that we're on as well. You can always find us on the social media at Hooser Reason. Again, at Hooser Reason on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch. Our Freedom Book. We do have Our Freedom Book as well. Excited to have that one up and going, and we're starting to get some more things over there as well. I want to shift gears a little bit from the gun conversation, the Colorado shooting. It's a sad ordeal. We'll have some more information on that a little bit later as well, and what we can do, because, you know, the Democrats, well, things happen, so therefore we must just ban gun control. We just push more gun control. That'll solve everything, right? But there is some good news, and I want to talk about some good news for a second, because these guys drive me absolutely nuts. So let's get into what's trending.
What's trending today?
As you know, there's a battle for social media. Our social media has been devastated with some of the silencing, censorship that's going on. We can barely get our word out there. We're not in the algorithms. You have to go out of your way to try and look for us. We can't share things any longer. We've been banned a few times, and it's just a very frustrating situation right now. But there is hope. The question is there hope? Can we do something about it? Can we stop these big tech industries with Facebook, with Twitter, with Google, with Amazon? Can we stop these guys and find alternatives? That's the beauty of the private sector, is to be able to find some alternatives and find products that actually do well for you. Is that true? To talk about some of that and more, I'm excited to have on the program. And it's been a while since we've had this guy on the show, but it's good to have him back on. He's a media and political strategist, also CEO of AMW PR out of New York City. It's Adam Wise with us here. Adam, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Andy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you again. I appreciate you coming on here. We have good opportunities ahead of us, but are they going to get here fast enough? And can we get social media and freedom on the interweb back on track here?
You know, and you just mentioned using ourfreedombook.com. I was a client of ours at AMWPR, and what's interesting is he was a pissed off, kind of like, he rebuilt fancy Suburbans and limos for celebrities, and that's what. But his wife was thrown off of Facebook one day for supporting Trump, so he got all mad and just built these platforms. So he's just a regular guy. He's not an oligarch. He's not a tech titan. And the other day, and one other platform he had was Our Freedom Funding, because what they're also doing is banning conservatives who get in trouble or thrown off platforms. They can't even raise money on some of these crowdfunding sites.
Yeah. So
somebody called and said Joe Biggs, he's like one of the guys who was arrested, like a former Navy SEAL or Army guy, was arrested, and he didn't do anything. I think he said he walked into the Capitol a little bit, didn't even go in, but now he's got charges against him, and he can't even go on strike. So he went on the guy's funding site, Our Freedom Funding. He was able to raise $50,000. So just this little guy out of New York has started all these tech platforms that are not going to ban people, that are not going to put people aside, are not going to screw them with the algorithms. It's going to be fair. We need more people like that. We need more ingenuity in the country. We need more. I wish the tech titans would step up and do something fair, but they just seem to be in the pocket of the left, seem to be in the pocket of a woke industry. Seems like they've been run by a bunch of college kids that are so left and woke, instead of run by adults who are looking for their market cap and are looking to, more into their investors than they are into their woke industry, which is bizarre because you're supposed to be in it for your investors. Think of that. Twitter is a publicly traded company. Mm-hmm. They were about $20 when President Trump came into office. Now they traded about 65. So I think that everything that Trump did every day was, all his tweets were looked upon. World leaders looked at it. Markets looked at it. The biggest political journalists looked at it. It was just, worrying about what his tweets were doing was just as important, better than his press conferences, or just as good as his, what normally would be the president sending a press release. I know his tweets were like that. So he took Twitter. They should thank him, and they should give him free stock, because there's no doubt that stock flew up that much because of President Trump.
Oh, of course. No, I mean, everybody raved. I mean, that was the media headline, was Trump tweeted this, Trump tweeted that. I've never seen, though, a social media site, or really just censorship in the sense that media would cut off a president like they did with Donald Trump on Twitter and on Facebook and on other sites as well, and just said, no, we're going to suspend your account as an acting president of the United States. You're not allowed to do this anymore. I'd never seen something like that before.
We live in such a different generation. Like, if kids acted up 20 years ago in a classroom, children, which kind of these people that get jobs in Silicon Valley acted, they'd say, you're acting up, we are the bosses, and if you want to leave, there's the door, go find a job somewhere else. Now they act up, they complain to Jack Dorsey and this company, and they fold. It's like they all just fold. Whether it's, I'll bring in a different issue. Last week they fired a 27-year-old African-American liberal woman at Teen Vogue because they complained that she had a mean tweet from 10 years ago. It's like, it just never stops. The industry the society we're living in, the culture we're living in, they fold. Instead of, I'm from a generation where the bosses are the bosses, and if something doesn't make sense, we look through it, we think about it, and we don't just fold. Right. It seems like everything in this culture, in a woke moment, they fold, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they got to
even
play
The Bachelor. Did you see what happened with The Bachelor?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they demonize, and you're right, they fold, they apologize, they just cower. There's such a dominance of intimidation on the other side of the aisle that you can't do anything, and then when you do get called out, then you have to backtrack and apologize, which I don't know why, because that still doesn't save your reputation. It doesn't fix anything. You apologize, and then you still can't gain back what you lost. But they are so intimidating. They are so domineering. They are so tyrannical that if you do something they don't like, they will come after you, slander you, and completely destroy you. And they have zero remorse. But remember, they're the victim. They're the woke crowd. They're the ones that need to apologize for who they are every day.
It's so, usually we talk government politics, but this stuff is so wacky that, to tell your audience, the Bachelor host has been there for 15 seasons, X amount of seasons. The girl this was the first year they put an African-American as the Bachelor. They went through her social media and found from 5 years ago or 6 years ago, she dressed in a Southern-themed party in our college.
Wow.
The host said, I don't know if it's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Not only they made him apologize, they suspended him. So even when just like you said, even when you apologize, they still suspend you.
No, what's
the point of apologizing?
Exactly. What's the point of apologizing? You just stand up. Yeah.
And then the host they replaced it was an African American, and then the Bachelor was African. So what they did, they would chastise that poor girl. She won. The one who dressed in that Southern garb from 4 or 5 years ago. But they badgered her for an hour on national TV on Channel 7. Talk about bullying. The poor girl was sitting there getting lectured about white privilege and don't you know what you did was horrible. Like, yeah, she's 20 years old. She dressed in a Southern outfit for a theme party with her sorority sisters, and they're making her cry on national TV. Who's the bullies?
Well, that's the big thing. Who's the actual bullies here? I mean, when you do something that they don't like, then you're the offensive one, you're the bully, but we're going to completely come down on you, and it's unbelievable. When can we get freedom of speech back? You mentioned Our Freedom Book. We had Dave Lipsky on the program. He's a great guy. I love it. I'm starting to transition a lot of my social media over there, and I'm getting a lot of friend requests. We're getting a lot of connections there. But you were actually down in and met with President Donald Trump recently, as the rumor has had it that he's about ready to start his own social media as well, isn't he?
100%. I think he's going to, evaluating whether he should jump in, but, I mean, his senior advisor, it sounded like he said he was going to start his own platform. But the difficulty there is, look, you have the Apple Store, right? Apple Store is controlled by basically Jeff Bezos, right? Amazon, iOS, right? And I think about 75-80% of the phones in the country are Apple, right? So if you start your own platform and it's an app, and you're going to want people to download it on your phone, if they decide, oh, we're not carrying it,
right,
he's screwed. Because we can't have President Trump, his own personal owns it on our platform. So there might be a catch-22 there. So it's got to be difficult with that, careful with that if he just starts his own. Because we've seen what they did with Parler, right? They took it right off the Apple Store, and then they took it off this Google Store, which is the Samsung. So they pretty much, for a while, they killed, I think you still can't even download Parler on the Apple Store.
Yeah, I don't know if you can download or not.
Still up on the servers. They had to go out, and then they had to go out and get their own, figure out their own servers because Amazon also controlled the servers. So, but if it works out right, and he couldn't put it on these stores, I was at CPAC, Andy, 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, and I went out on that Sunday for fundraiser in South Dakota, a small event she's having. Came back at 1:00. He was speaking about 4:00. There were thousands of people standing outside, waving flags, cars up and down, having a picnic, selling merchandise. Couldn't believe it. There were thousands of people standing outside on grass. They're not even going to see the president. He's coming in through the back door. They came from all different states to support him. It was like, he's not president anymore.
Yeah.
It boggles my mind sometimes to think who in America could get that kind of crowd or that kind of enthusiasm, people that come from different states just to still support the ex-president.
Yeah, I've never seen a movement like this, and Donald Trump still has that. It's what he does with it. We got about 20 seconds left. Adam Wise, real quickly, when you did meet with him, just briefly, talk about his demeanor real quick. Was he still in good spirits, and is he confident?
Cracking jokes. He looked like he lost about 35 pounds. He must be the Florida sunshine, and there's golf every day at the relaxation. It must be stressful being in the White House every day, getting attacked by the left, and then the media and all the others besides, on top of dealing with world leaders. But he looked really good. He was in good spirits.
I love it. Adam Wise, we're out of time, my friend. CEO, AMWPR. Make sure to check him out as well. Adam, it's good to talk to you again, my friend. Let's do this again here real soon.
Thank you.
Yep, always a pleasure. All right, we'll take a break. We got one more segment coming up here on The Voice of Reason. Lots more to get to right here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet.
It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
The show goes by way too fast. We got so much to talk about and so little time to do it. Welcome back into the program. Just a few minutes left of the show as we begin to wrap up a post-Monday celebration. Thanks for joining us. Thanks again to Adam Wise coming on the program. He likes to talk, and I love having him on the show. And the big question is this: it's a big question. Brings up a valid point with the social media. If Donald Trump does create a social media network, then will it be accepted, and will the big companies actually allow it? Will they allow it in the Apple App Store? Will they allow it on the Google Play App Store? Will they allow it to be out there, or will they just try and say, nope, can't do that? He's going to be involved in politics in some way. I got to be honest, I don't know whether he's going to run for president again or not. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, he's going to be 78-ish, which is, I guess, what Joe Biden is right now. But come on, look at that guy. I mean, come on now. Let's think about that one for a second. So will he actually run again? I don't know. There are rumors, tweets of who's actually going to be running for president in 2024. And I know that that's way out there, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on speculation there. But I have heard some rumors about who would actually be some potential candidates, including Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, which would be fantastic. I've heard potentially Governor Kristi Noem out of South Dakota, which would be fantastic because she's solid as well. I've also heard the rumor of Mike Pompeo. Now, for those of you that don't know, Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State during Trump, he was also CIA director during Trump. He was also, before all of that, a congressman right here in Kansas and in our district number 4 in South Central Kansas, where Wichita is. He was my state rep, or my congressman. And we used to have him on the program every couple of weeks as a congressman, and we had him on when he was Secretary of State a couple of times. And I mean, he's a semi-decent friend. And the rumor has it is that he's planning on running for president. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I've not talked to him or anything. That's just kind of speculation from what I've heard. Tweets from the inside is that he's actually been traveling to Iowa, getting ready for straw caucuses and to start getting his name out there. Now, I have some excitement from that. I also have some concern about that because Mike Pompeo, if those of you that don't know him across the country that are listening right now, Mike Pompeo is probably one of the smartest guys in politics to ever be in politics. Not ever, but he's a very genius guy. He knows his stuff. He graduated, I think it was first in class in the military. He runs his office like the military, very strong, very stern, very to the point, very direct, and he's a great guy. And he knows his stuff. Now, that's really good because we need a strong military presence like that as the commander-in-chief of the United States. You would think that would be kind of a common thing, but it's not in today's times. The bad part is that I don't know that he has the charisma or the personality to pull something like that off because he is very dry and to the point and stern and military-like, and that appeals to a lot of people. But at the same time, it's not about how much you know when you run for president, obviously, because Joe Biden and Barack Obama ran, Bill Clinton ran, George H.W. Bush ran. It's not about what you knew. It's about the personality that you have. Bill Clinton won because he got on Saturday Night Live or he got on David Letterman and played the saxophone. Barack Obama won because he was a very suave-looking dude that sat there and smoked cigarettes and talked about and gave people fist bumps. He was a cool guy. That's why he won the presidency, and he had a nice little catchy slogan called Hope and Change, and that's what people were drawn to. It wasn't his policies. It wasn't his ideas. It was the charisma. It was the popularity, is the celebrity status. Can Mike Pompeo pull that off? I don't know. Then I started thinking about it. And I realized that he was Trump's go-to guy. He was one of the longest-lasting administrative guys in the Trump administration. As you know, Trump had kind of a high turnaround in his administration. Not a bad thing. If you didn't do your job, then you were out. We weren't playing DC as normal. Weren't going to be like showing up to the job and kind of half you-know-what it and just kind of slow poke through it. No, you're there to do your job, and if you're not, you're going to get out. And that's why he had a high turnaround, which I thought was a very good thing, and I like Trump for that aspect in his administration. Mike Pompeo was one of the longest lasting, from going from congressman to CIA director to Secretary of State, and if he runs, he's not going to compete against Donald Trump if Donald Trump chooses to run. Donald Trump would throw his support behind him to continue the Trump train movement under a Mike Pompeo run. And if that's the case, it don't matter how much charisma you have, you're going to get the nomination. So I don't know what's going. This is all complete, just 100% speculation. But the former Secretary of State can definitely run for president. Hillary Clinton tried it. And this one would have the Trump train movement behind it as well. I know we're a few years out on that one, but something to think about as we get closer to the 2024 presidential elections. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about some more taxes and spending, the infrastructure bill that Joe Biden has proposed. What the heck is that all about? Plus the crisis going on at the border and other things as well. It goes by way too fast. Until then, be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Everybody have a great Tuesday. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.